As it was mentioned when me being introduced, I am a senator, which is a life member of the organisation. When we get appointed a senator, we get given a number. My number's 57314. Just to show you how much support we have in our organisation, we are now up over 70,000 in terms of senators. However, in the room, we do have a very young senator. Peter, would you like to stand up and be recognised as our youngest senator? Here, 8167. So one of our earlier senators.
And I may be 2.5.
Well done. Welcome. Thank you and the rest of our senators that are here for your support to Christchurch. As the title slide there shows, that JCs can give you the confidence to reach inside yourself and achieve more than you can ever imagine possible. Erin, next slide, thanks. The history of our international organisation spans back. It started in 1915 in the United States. The international organisation itself began in 1945. Auckland Junior Chamber, as you can see there, 1932, and then we were instrumental in being involved in the start of the international organisations. We were one of the founding countries to help start JCI International. We also assisted with the writing of the Constitution, the International Constitution, which is our founding document for how we operate today. We also went out, so you can see what happens when people with passion start springing into action. It doesn't just happen locally. We expanded what we had here in New Zealand, and in 1945 we started here in New Zealand with 7 chapters and over 1,000 members. Those 1,000 members then went out and expanded the organisation into Australia, India, Fiji, East Africa and throughout Samoa. So it's about helping even beyond our own shores. No mean feat in those times. We can travel to the other side of the world in 24 hours. They took 6 weeks when they went on an expedition to the other side of the world to experience a conference or anything. We have had 4 world presidents. Again, do not underestimate how much we from New Zealand have stood up and been counted on the international scene. 1955, Peter Watts, Morris Sexton in 59, Graham Sinclair in 1971 and Karen in 2000. To put that into context, Japan have had 5 world presidents. Even better, Australia, only 3. What can it do? Now this is about a journey, guys. It's small steps. When these people that are listed on the screen, and I'm not going to read them all out because I'm sure you can read. The interesting part about this and the names you see there, they're all well known. If you just look at the United States, Bill Clinton, Gerald Ford, Richard Nixon, Walter Mondale, all past US presidents. Their journey started as a JC. That gave them the impetus to go forward and make a difference. Again, with all the others that are listed there. But it's not always about becoming a politician from being a JC. As the bottom part, it reaches across borders, cultures, religion, politics, and it unites people for change. And the reason we have other names here like Richard Hadley and his brother Dale, because they didn't go on to that type of honour, but they are significant in our society. Further down, Kim Santos, Miss World, was a JC before she became Miss World. You've got Karen Fenton, who we've mentioned before, and also the Right Honourable Kate Wilkinson, who is currently a New Zealand Minister in our Parliament. So again, good things can come if you take those small steps. So that's what it's about. So on the next slide, again, how we do it, it's about the planning aspect and small steps, guys. Nothing happens if you don't put it into perspective. So the JC Active Citizen Framework is about how we go about creating that better world, whether it's local, national or international. It all comes down to you deciding what you may want to do in your community. You choose what's important to you and what needs to be done. It's not about anyone else telling you or us coming in, me coming in and saying you should do this project or you should do that. You choose what's important to you here in Canterbury. In Wellington, The local people choose what's important to them. In Auckland, around the world, no matter where it is, throughout Japan, the different local chapters choose what they want to do and what's important to them and their community. You then analyse that need. You formulate the plan, you put the plan into action. Will you make headway and everything happen straight away? Possibly not. So you review what you've done, you go through the cycle again to improve it. Once you do that, you start taking those steps and putting them in place, and good things start happening because you have a template for success. And that is the philosophy and what happens in JCI. That's how we make it happen. That's some of the projects that we have been involved in here in New Zealand. And again, these are from early days. People today go for blood transfusions and think nothing of it. The Blood Transfusion Association still advertise for people to do so. Originally, that started out as a JCI project, that type of campaigning. Citizens Advice Bureau started from past JC members getting active in the community again. The DARE program, Drug Abuse Resistant Education into the schools, was part of a JC program. Birthright. Now, I don't know whether you understand what Birthright is, but it came out of a program that after the war, the mums and the parents who had lost their fathers in the war, we started Birthright. JC started it in New Zealand to look after solo parents, basically. Now, it's changed dramatically over the time to what it is today, but that's where it started, from someone seeing a need in their community and taking action to do something about it. It's, again, that same philosophy. There's probably not a park or a community development around New Zealand at some stage that has not been or had involvement from JCs. Okay, you don't see the logos or anything there, but there's a need, we went out and did it. It's probably a little different doing a park today with the Resource Consents Act that you have to follow and everything that's involved in it, but in those days, they just went out and built it. Simple as that. The Nissan Young Driver was a program, and that was a national television campaign that came into play. First time as a national project where the JC chapter that organised that went to Nissan and got a brand new Nissan Dixon supplied as the prize for the winner of the Young Driver of the Year. Again, an initiative in the community because of what was happening on the roads with young people. Has it changed? There could be opportunities around those aspects as well. Coming down to Canterbury, and reading a history book that was produced in 2008, I found a little snippet that in 1950 the JCs in Canterbury took on, and part of the centennial celebrations of Canterbury, took on the project to create the centennial publication. So successful was that publication, it was over 80 pages and 58,000 copies sold out in just 3 weeks. They had to do a second edition. Planting trees on Port Hills. Although that said, I had a look today, but I couldn't see where the trees would be, but that was a long time ago that they were planted as well. So it was about reforestation as a project in those times. Ferrymead is a JC project, and if you talk to some of the senators here, I'm sure they will fill you in on what aspect of that they have been involved in. But I know it is a project that's been dear to the hearts of many of the senators, and I believe that some of them are still involved in that today. And also, one of the most successful international conferences was hosted right here in Christchurch in 1983. So you can see it's varied with what people do.